Good afternoon. I'm Rowdy Brixey, Chairman of the ASB Hall of Fame Evaluation Committee. Welcome to the 2023 Hall of Fame Induction Ceremony. We have some very special guests with us today. Guests of Frederick Cooper, Joseph Day, Harold Flynn, Mike Gude, and the Rotella family. If you've been mentored or inspired by these individuals or your family, please stand. If you've been mentored or inspired by any of our inductees, please take a moment to stand. Just think about the impact we have an opportunity to have and the impact these individuals have had on you. Pay it forward. Thank you. I'd also like to take a moment to give a special thank you to the members of our Hall of Fame Evaluation Committee who have spent many hours reviewing and scoring this year's nominations. Gil Bundy, Teresa Cogswell, John DeCampo, Lynn Kilby, Dan Malavaney, Eddie Peru, and coming off of our committee this year, Bill McCurry, Fred Springer, and Jim Diver. Coming on to our committee in their place, Lynn Heflick, Tom McCurry, and John Phillips. And as of our end of our meeting yesterday, I found out Robert Benton is going to retire from our committee as well as he moves on to another phase of his career. So please give a round of applause to those on our committee. So our first inductee to the Baking Hall of Fame is Frederick E. Cooper. Please see the screen for the video.
I'm a Georgian. I was born in Thomasville, Georgia.
Thomasville is a very rural place. I learned how to hunt. I learned how to hook a worm. I learned how to gather blackberries and make blackberry pie.
Milking cows taught him a good bit about a sound work ethic.
He had a 2-octave range of relationships where he could deal from New York to anywhere in this country.
I'm so proud for Fred and the induction in the Baking Hall of Fame. It's a well-deserved honor. And it raises, frankly, the stature of the Baking Hall of Fame to have Fred in.
At the time my dad was 18 years old, he aspired to be a successful businessman, a successful politician, and a successful lawyer, and really was able to attain all three of those goals in his life.
Went to undergraduate school at Washington and Lee University, law school at the University of Georgia. Spent several years in the Army after that, and then embarked on a career of practicing law and being with a very large corporate entity that was in the baked foods business.
He learned the baked foods industry from a very early point in his career.
I always enjoyed working with people and being involved with people.
Fred was instrumental in their growth during that period of time as an innovative leader in mergers and acquisitions.
What I had learned is to take some chances at a young age.
The Republican Party did not exist in Georgia. I chose to run for chair of the Republican Party in Georgia and was elected.
He invited everybody to participate. He gave everybody a seat at the table. It was a big tent.
Fred Cooper was politically like the E.F. Hutton here in Georgia. He was sound, he was solid, he was a man of his word.
I was the state chairman for George H.W. Bush and George W. Bush and ran those campaigns.
George H.W. Bush came to town. I felt like I was able to borrow Fred's political credit.
He treated everyone the same, whether it's the President of the United States or one of the line workers in one of the bakeries.
I remember working with Fred to greet the dignitaries from all across the world and make sure they were welcomed and enjoyed our Georgia hospitality.
When he started CooperSmith, a lot of those bakeries were ones that the Federal Trade Commission had turned flowers down.
He had a team that felt a deep sense of loyalty to him because of his respect for integrity in terms of the way that he did things, the way that he managed the business, the way that he built relationships, and the way that he lived his life.
CooperSmith was started in 1989, and my dad grew it over the course of a number of years at a successful exit in 1996.
When I was secretary and obviously mentioned Fred's name, they were very much familiar with Fred.
Eloquence with his southern drawl was always good for entertainment and a good joke.
Maybe the Bible says man shall not live by bread alone, but I sure enjoy it.
What it means to be a Southern statesman, and I think he actually embodied that, and the way that he led his life, the way that he interacted with other people, and individuals were drawn to that.
And I want to congratulate my good friend Fred Cooper for his induction into the Baking Hall of Fame. Fred, well done.
Spent a lot of time teaching me and Jay the way to navigate the world and be respectful of other people.
Those young men, Derek and Jay, are just stalwarts. Create a great legacy.
Congratulations to my dad for making it into the Hall of Fame. This is such an incredible honor.
Pa, congratulations on making the Baking Hall of Fame. We're so proud of you and are amazed by your life accomplishments. And we love you.
Accepting on behalf of the Frederick Cooper nomination and induction are his sons, Jay and Derek Cooper. Please come to the stage. I'll do my best to fake a good handshake here. Congratulations. Congratulations. Please. Come on up. Let's get a couple pictures and they'll send you over. Perfect. Might want to turn that around. There you go.
Right. Congratulations. Thank you so much.
Please.
I have a couple of words. I'll try to be brief today. My name is Jay Cooper, and it is such an honor for my brother Derek and I to be here with you today to accept this award on behalf of our father, Fred Cooper. Before I get ahead of myself, I want to clarify that my father has been called many different nicknames during the various stages of his life. His legal name is Frederick Enzer Cooper. His close friends call him Fred. His college friends call him Freddie. His grandchildren call him Papa, Sir, and Pa Coop. My wife calls him Mr. Coop. President George W. Bush calls him Coops, and his two sons respectfully and lovingly call him Pa. As many of you know, Pa is from Thomasville, Georgia, and the baked foods industry has been a major part of his life since he was a young man. After graduating from W&L and earning his law degree from University of Georgia, Pa served in the United States Army JAG Corps here in the U.S. and in Germany. My brother Derek was born in Germany, and after his birth, my parents moved back to Thomasville, Georgia. Once settled in Thomasville, W.H. Flowers asked Pa to join Flowers Industries as the company's first general counsel. Pa said to Mr. Flowers in 1973, "Mr. Flowers, I would be honored to join the company in the role of general counsel. May I just ask you one question? What on earth is a general counsel?" The baked foods industry was everything to Pa. I remember when we would go on vacation as young boys, Pa would take us to various grocery stores and teach us about the importance of the bread aisle. He would show us the product mix on the shelves. He would have us look at the loaves to determine product freshness and presentation, and he would tell us about the balance between branded and private label representation, allocation, and shelf space location. On some trips, we would visit 3 or 4 stores before Derek and I would finally break down and insist that there had to be more to family vacations beyond the bread aisle in the Piggly Wiggly in Panama City, Florida. Pa's role expanded from general counsel at Flowers to president and vice chairman of the board. My dad helped lead one of the most remarkable and talented organizations in the industry at Flowers. They pioneered an operations expansion and strategy that resulted in the growth of a business from $50 million in sales in the 1970s to over $1 billion in annual revenue in the 1980s. The business lessons were illuminating to Derek and me, and it was a gift to watch Pa work in the baked foods industry, and a gift to learn from the leaders in Thomasville like Amos McMullen, Heath Varnado, and George Deese. George is here with us today. These men taught us how to run an organization with character and integrity, They taught us the importance of building the value while maintaining the respect and regard of both your community and your family. In 1989, Pa left Flowers Industry to pursue his entrepreneurial dream of running his own baked foods company. Perhaps one of Pa's greatest business decisions was partnering with William Bryant to design the acquisition strategy for what would become CooperSmith. Together, they worked with the Smith family from Mobile, Alabama to pursue the first of many bakeries, to purchase the first of many bakeries. Building CooperSmith with talented people like John Johnson, George Curtis, and Steve Cooper was one of Pa's proudest achievements, and I know that to this day he considers it to be his greatest accomplishment. Pa was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease about 5 years ago. Unfortunately, his health does not allow him to be with us here today, but I know if he were here, he would like to thank the A.S.B. Hall of Fame committee for this honor. He would like to thank Brad Burris, Lizanne Thomas, Sonny Perdue, Joe Rogers, Ed Crenshaw, Cordia Harrington, and others who supported his nomination for this great honor. Thank you to John Johnson, William Bryant, George Curtis, and Steve Cooper. Thanks to George Dees and the late Amos McMullen and Heath Varnadoe. And lastly, thank you to Mary and to Wellens for everything you've done for him over these years. It is a great honor for Derek and I to accept this award from an industry that has nourished bodies and souls for thousands of years. Our Pa, Fred Cooper, would want us to simply say thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations. Our next inductee to the Baking Hall of Fame is Joseph Malcolm Day.
You could say Joseph Malcolm Day's life was a recipe for baking industry success. The various stages of his career eventually led Joe to developing advanced patents that enhanced ovens' automation, safety, and reliability to become industry standards. Joe's path started with an engineering degree from Michigan State University and being hired by Baker Perkins in Saginaw, Michigan. After attending baking school in 1938, he moved to the AMF Oven Division in New Haven, Connecticut to become chief engineer. At AMF, he designed and patented a diathermic tray oven that improved balanced oven heat transfer and oven thermal efficiency. After completing ROTC, he entered World War II as a lieutenant. Joe was assigned to Bell Labs and collaborated on a new analog computer interface for radar and anti-aircraft guns. He left the Army as a major and returned to AMF. In 1949, he left to open the Joseph M. Day Company in Saginaw, Michigan. He began producing automatic gas, oil, and combination gas-oil burner systems for indirect-fired high-speed production ovens. Soon, oven manufacturers adopted these systems as the industry standard. In the early 1980s, Joe designed the first automatic oven ignition and flame safeguard system known as direct spark ignition, or DSI. This technology became the foundation for oven automation and precise temperature control. In 1959, he began manufacturing impedance electrical pipe heating systems for viscous fluids sold through Banner Engineering and Sales. The impedance pipe heating system enabled carbon, galvanized, or stainless steel pipe to become its own heating element, allowing ingredients to be heated evenly and flow consistently through a piping system. Through it all, Joe's wife Monica was always at his side, offering support, working as a secretary and bookkeeper during the early days while caring for their 4 boys. Today, 2 generations have followed in his footsteps to the company now known as Banner Day. Joe and Monica would be very proud that the family carries on the company he began.
Accepting on behalf of Joseph Malcolm Day is his grandson, Mike Day. Now, I asked Mike ahead of time to act short, and I'm going to try to be tall. So. Oh, hang on a second. Nope, there we go. Oh, great. Good job.
Well, good afternoon, I think it is. As Rowdy mentioned, my name is Mike Day. On behalf of Joe Day and our family, I want to thank you for this wonderful recognition of my grandfather's life's work, career, and contributions to the baking industry. Now, truth be told, my grandfather actually owes his start in baking more to baseball than baking. As his first hires at Baker Perkins during the Great Depression, and he was hired as a member of their Industrial League baseball team. As his time at Baker Perkins kind of progressed, they recognized his engineering talents, and in addition to baseball, and the rest is history. To the Hall of Fame Selection Committee, the A.S.B. board, and the leadership team at A.S.B., and the A.S.B. membership, thank you for bestowing this honor on him. I know he would be humbled, sincerely appreciative of receiving this high honor. Thank you.
Congratulations, Mike. Our next inductee to the Baking Hall of Fame is Harold Flynn.
Hello, good day to everyone. I would like to congratulate all of the 2023 inductees into the Baking Hall of Fame. That recognition is duly warranted for all the contributions they've made throughout their illustrious careers. My name is Don Medina, the current CEO of Flynn Burner Corporation. Harold Flynn, founder of Flynn Burner, is well known throughout the baking industry and is mentioned on a regular basis to this day, both within the industry itself and certainly amongst our employees. It was his humility, loyalty, and the family-style atmosphere he instilled at the factory daily that helped to foster and pass along to future employees a fantastic company, one where all have a voice and are respected irrelevant of their position. In our archives, we have run across documents dating back to the founding of the company in 1946. Photos of a tiny office with only a handful of employees. His lab tests and results, design notes, invention ideas, his patents, all evidences of his relentless work ethic, as well as articles referencing his awareness and contribution to the community. Volunteer and civic work throughout his life were very dear to him. For those of you who may not know, Flynn Burner manufactures burners and combustion-related equipment for various industries, but with a particular emphasis in the baking industry. The development of burners and other advancements throughout Harold's career are an integral part of thousands of ovens throughout the world. Every day, millions of people benefit from these advancements. I didn't know Harold personally. I joined Flynn in 1988, 10 years after his passing. His son Edward, who became president after his death, often reminded us of his creativity and dedication, how much he loved the company he founded, his employees, the industry we serve, and especially our customers. Having been employed at Flynn for 35 years, which is longer than Harold's tenure itself, is a testament of how special this company is, how crucial to our longevity his inventions were, yielding great products that we still manufacture and sell in large quantities today, 77 years later. Since his passing in 1978, we of course have continued to improve, innovate, and reinvent ourselves to meet the ever-growing challenges of changing times. But one thing remains a constant. It is all built on the backbone of Mr. Harold Flynn's incredible achievements, original hard work, dedication, perseverance, and other great products he developed.
Accepting on behalf of Harold Flynn, Simon Walker. Congratulations.
Thanks, Rowdy.
Nice picture. Where's the check?
Kent's got it.
My name is Simon Walker, Vice President of Flynn Burner, which is different to where I started my career, which was President of Vice at Baker Perkins. Thank you everybody here today, and thank you A.S.B. for the inductance of Harold Flynn into the Baking Hall of Fame. I never met Harold, and probably neither has anybody else here, but he has influenced me more than anyone else I can remember. Looking back at his creations after 77 years, some are still the most desirable in use today. He taught me there is no end to innovation and improvement, and I would love to shake his hand today and listen to those immortal words. Who are you? Harold has had a lasting impact on not only the baking industry, but everyone he touched throughout the years. Flynn employees past and present, and those no longer with us. In every corner of every bakery, picking up dust is a pipe burner. His legacy is clearly to be seen today in the ovens and in the Flynn family, where everybody works together to deliver the quality you have grown to expect. Literally smiling and singing and joking day in, day out, Harold brought this family together. There is not much more to add to Dom's tribute other than I'm better looking and he's paying tonight. On behalf of everyone at Flynn and in the baking industry, on behalf of the hundreds and thousands of burners, I'm proud to accept this honor. We thank you for remembering and honoring Harold Flynn. Thank you.
Congratulations. Our next inductee to the Baking Hall of Fame is G. Michael Gude, otherwise known as Mike.
First of all, I want to thank the American Society of Baking, and especially the nominating committee for this wonderful honor. I can only imagine what those Zoom calls sounded like. I'd also like to thank all of my friends and colleagues who took the time to write what must have been very convincing letters of recommendation. I couldn't in my wildest dreams imagine myself as part of this group. Before I came to Sosland Publishing, I was using my newly minted journalism degree as publisher of Where magazine in Kansas City. During that time, I would stop by the Kansas City Board of Trade to watch the grain traders and thought, this might be a fun career. During one of those trips, I walked by a bulletin board and saw a job posting for a publishing company. They were looking for someone to work for a guy named Mark Sabo on a Chinese language magazine and to help plan a seminar in China. What an opportunity. So I jumped on it. After the China adventure and our decision to pare back our China operation, my next assignment was in sales for Milling and Baking News, which at the time was only 60 years old. A big part of my job was to sell advertising for a quarterly magazine placed inside of Milling and Baking News called Baking Equipment Quarterly. As we continued to grow and our mission broadened, we hired Lori Gordon, who knew more about this part of the business than anyone in the world. And in 1994, we renamed the magazine Baking and Snack, and now we reach more than 90,000 industry professionals every month through our print magazine and bakingbusiness.com. In recent years, I've been lucky enough to be part of the launch of the Food Business News, and I've often marveled how that magazine has taken our grain-based foods roots and expanded it into other areas of the food industry. Through all of this, I fell in love with the baking industry, which is easy for all of you to understand, I'm sure. This is my 40th ASB, and I can remember looking years ago at the 40-year ribbons that some of the older people were wearing and literally shudder. Now it seems perfectly natural to trudge up to Chicago in late February, right when the weather is turning warm in Kansas City. Other industry organizations like the ATBI, BEMA, ABA, and the Grain Foods Foundation have also played an influential role in my career. Being part of the ATBI as a member and then eventually chairman has allowed me to meet some of the greatest people on the allied side of the industry, including Jim Lynch, who through that association gave me a lunch buddy in Kansas City for 30 years. BEMA has also been a big part of my baking life, and I actually started attending BEMA long before they would let a magazine guy even be a member, let alone serve as chairman. My kids grew up as BEMA kids and made some lifelong friends with the other kids in the association. I'm so pleased to be part of the BEMA family and watch it grow. I'm also proud of my longtime association with the ABA and respect that group as the leader of our industry and protector of all things baking. And finally, I'm especially proud to be part of the Grain Foods Foundation since its inception in 2004. We're very excited about the future of the GFF and the critical research they're doing to elevate the industry. Once again, I'm very proud to be part of the Baking Hall of Fame. When I look at the members of this group, I think, I didn't build any bakeries, and I certainly didn't invent any equipment. But I'm really proud to be part of a company that has chronicled the good works of all these people and will continue to cover this wonderful industry for many years to come.
Accepting on behalf of the older G. Michael Gude is a younger version, Mike Gude. Please come to the stage. Mr. Gude. Congratulations, brother. Thank you. Well played. There's a timer down front for you.
There's a timer here, and I'm going to run long, so I'll just skip some parts, I think. First of all, I'd like to apologize for taking 3.5 minutes of your life there earlier on that with that video. So the saying, you can fake caring, but you can't fake showing up, has been ascribed to me, and I may or may not have coined it, but it definitely pertains to this event and to all of us in the baking industry, an industry like no other. In pop culture, we all know celebrities so iconic they go by a single name like Beyonce, Cher, Madonna, Sting. Well, the baking industry has our iconic names too. We have Cordia, Fred, or the Fred, DJ, Hayden, Rowdy, Jorge, Corny, Yanni, and George. They come as a package. Larry, Gary, Denny, and of course Robert, to just name a few. It's always struck me that we're a $100 billion industry that runs on a first name basis. I'd also like to congratulate the members of this year's class of the Baking Hall of Fame and all of the 96 plus members of the Baking Hall of Fame previously inducted. Looking over the list the last few weeks, I realized I personally knew over half of them and have a connection to many of them. For instance, I've worked for one member. I ate a giant pretzel in Germany with another, Tim Brown. One member was one of my heroes, Bill Hoover. I received career advice from at least 6 of them, and one taught me the concept of the love bank, Ken Newsom. I roomed with one of them and tried my best to sleep, Ron Toronto. I became great friends with the sons of 2 of them, and one of them sold his company off the back cover of Baking and Snack magazine twice, Starrett Campbell. And then I witnessed one of them wearing fake buns while giving a speech in Kansas City years ago, and one of them singing happy birthday to me on my 60th birthday, Russ Bundy. And now on to the thank yous. I want to thank the Hall of Fame nominating committee and everyone who supported me through the process. I'd also like to thank Mark Sabo, who gave me my start at Sosland Publishing 42 years ago. Mark was a generous mentor and helped blaze the trail for so many at Sosland Publishing, especially me. Charlie Sosland, who I'd like to thank for moving to England to start World Grain magazine, thus opening up his old job on Milling and Baking News. I'm forever grateful for his willingness to trust and empower me in that role, which changed the trajectory of my career and provided me opportunities I could only dream of. I'd also like to thank Josh Sosland, who has been an inspiring leader to me and has provided the editorial wisdom and sound business strategy that have made Milling and Baking News and Food Business News so successful. I'd also like to thank the iconic Morton Sosland, when giving my original onboarding, offered some sage advice. Don't screw it up. No, he didn't really say that. He said, don't do anything that might hurt our good name. Most importantly, I'd like to thank my wife, Becky, for keeping the home fires burning putting out plenty of fires at home, and putting up with all the travel and time away from the family. Thank you for your love and support for the past 43 years, and for listening to all my stories. Look at that, Becky. Listening to all my stories and pretending that you'd never heard them before. I'd also like to thank my favorite children, Ellen and Robert, for being here to support me. My daughter Claire chose to stay in Kansas City this week with her husband Grant and our two grandkids, Henry and Peter. Apparently birthing her third child tomorrow morning gives precedent over being here in Chicago to celebrate with us. Thanks to my brother Bob, who's here, representing all the Gude brothers. All three of them were born the same day, 1 year apart. It's a miracle. And to my nephew Thomas, who is working for Flowers Foods, loves his job and loves the baking industry, like I do. In fact, he told me weeks ago, Uncle Mike, I think you've turned me into a bread man. Finally, I'd like to thank many of the people in this room who have been great friends, advisors, and confidants. And I look forward to seeing everyone at next year's ASB because I really do care, and it's an honor and a privilege to show up. Thank you very much.
Congratulations, Mike. Our last inductee into the Baking Hall of Fame is Louis Rotella Sr. and Louis Rotella Jr.
I'm Lou Rotella Jr. I am the third generation of Rotella's Italian Bakery. My grandfather started the bakery in 1921. At that time, him and his kids and my grandmother made all the products by hand, and they delivered some of the restaurants. In 1947, my father came back from the war, and he saw my grandfather working hard in the bakery, unloading the ovens, and he went to my grandfather and says, I will take over, Pa. And so my father at that time in 1947 took over from the bakery with my Uncle Meadow, and my grandfather retired. As time went on, the bakery was basically all a hand shop, and my father used to bring me down to the bakery when I was 8 years old or so, and I helped work the bakery with my dad, just learning different things. I just loved being with my dad. 1965, my father moved into the new facility on 24th and Pierce. 1972, my Uncle Meadow wanted to sell out to my father, and my father came to me and asked me if I would be wanted to stay in the bakery. And I told my dad, I said, if you're the sole owner of the bakery, I would stay. So at that time, my father and myself became partners in the bakery. 1974, my cousin Jimmy and my brother-in-law Dean, they came in and was working with my father and myself. And in 78, we started going to Lincoln, and in 1981 we started in Des Moines, and at that time we were learning more about what was going on in the country because we took trips to other bakeries across the country. So we went to Chicago, New York, we went to California, Washington. We started buying equipment to make ourselves a little bit more efficient, and at that particular time, we started to get into the frozen business also. As our business kept on growing, we outgrew our facility, and in 1989, we went ahead and we ended up buying some land, 5 acres, and we built one automated line with a 100-foot oven. As time went on and things kept on getting better for us, and we kept on growing, and from 1 oven, then we grew to 2 ovens, and a little bit later we added on, went to 3 ovens. You know, we started adding more space. Our bakery is basically what it is today. We're on 40 acres now, and we have 6 ovens that we produce all of our products in, and we're in the process of expanding some more. Right now, we're even looking at adding our own freezer. We went and bought 49 acres where we already broke ground, and we're going to build our own freezer. we're really proud that this has been a family-owned business. We're into the 4th generation where my kids now have been here since 2000, and they're actually can run the business. It's almost like the business went from my grandfather, where my dad could run the business. My father had confidence in me, where I could run the business, and now I got confidence in my kids, because now they can run the business. It's all part of the family, which had all this time, it had my cousin Jimmy and my brother-in-law Dean with me from the very beginning.
Please welcome up to accept Lou Rotella Jr., Jimmy Rotella, and Dean Jacobson. Congratulations. Congratulations.
I would like to thank everyone who nominated and selected me and my father to the American Society of Baking's Hall of Fame. When I think of the bakery that my grandmother and grandfather started 100 years ago, it amazes me. 2 immigrants from Italy with no money. They bought a bakery with just a promise to make monthly payments. They started by making everything by hand. They taught my father the art of baking. When he took over the bakery, he always wanted to make it bigger and better. I had the privilege to work with my father starting at the age of 10. He taught me how to bake and the importance of quality and commitment. We devoted our lives to the business with long and hard hours of work. We did not do this alone. I'd like to thank some of those who helped us along the way. All of our dedicated workers, especially those who stood by us as we were building our business when we had very little. Our present workers who are helping us now to continue to make quality products with the best service possible. My brother-in-law Dean and my cousin Jimmy, who have been with me for many years and have supported my father's dream of becoming one of the most respected high-volume bakeries in the industry. None of this would have been possible if it wasn't It wasn't for my mom, my wife Kathy, and my sister Maria and Carmen, who stood by our commitment and were dedicated to the family. This honor is like a dream come true. Our bakery is still family-owned. The next generation, our children, and devoted employees are proven to be very capable to continue to support our vision of growth and put in the needs of the customer first. As my father would say, we wish you the very best from the Rotella family. Thank you.